We're just gonna give it another minute and then we're gonna start. Okay, I think we can get started now.
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. So we're okay. We're having a little bit of difficulties with Zoom, but we're resolving it as fast as we can.
Sorry about that. In the meantime, I'm just gonna introduce myself. I'm the co-founder of Shadow Bunny, and
and I'm the other co-founder of Shadow Bunny. I'm Zen Zaidi. She's Marissa Syed, and so our first webinar is going to be with Dr. Saquiba Syed. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, please go ahead.
Sure. Hi guys. First, I want to say thank you for having me. For some reason, my video won't start. So I don't know if you guys have control over that right now.
Sorry, yeah, try again.
Okay, let's start. There you go. All right. Hello, thank you. First of all, both Zen and Marissa, thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor to be here, and I hope I can answer some questions that you guys might have or the audience might have. And I just want to give you a little, highlight of what an internist does, right? So an internist is a physician who out of residency practices internal medicine. So we actually provide primary care services to the community, and we're usually the gateway to subspecialists if the patient needs subspecialty care. I was born and brought up in Jersey City, and so there I am. Okay, so I was born and brought up in Jersey City, raised in Jersey City. I did high school in Jersey City, and then I went and did some undergrad at Rutgers, and then I went into medical school in Pakistan, and then I came back and did my residency over here with Seton Hall. And right now I've been practicing here for almost, I'd say, 2001 to now almost 20 years in Jersey City. Presently, I'm working as the medical director for ambulatory care services for RWJ. And There I go. All right. So Jersey City Public School System. I went to Catholic High School, St. Dominic's Academy. I did some undergrad at Rutgers, and then I went to King Edward Medical College in Lahore in Pakistan. That was an interesting thing. And I know a lot of people go to different schools all around the world, not only in the United States. So I took that opportunity to go back to Pakistan, and I went to one of the top schools in Pakistan and completed my medical school there. So I come back here. I started my practice in 2006. Between 2001, 2005, I worked with fellow physicians and as a hospitalist at Mountainside Hospital in Montclair. I think it's important for everybody to realize medicine is a passion. And I think, that's something that you guys want to do. If you're doing it for the money, don't do it. If you want to do it because that's who you feel yourself is going to be successful as a person. And again, when I talk about success, it's personal success. Success is not only money. Yes, money is an important part, but you have to be satisfied with what you want to do. Okay, there's a lot of options out there. I chose to become a physician because from the get-go, I always wanted to help people. I believed in helping people, and I felt that that's the best way that I could see myself fulfilling a role as a socially responsible human being, right? So that should be your goal. You have great engineers, you have great policemen, you have great firemen, you have great construction workers, and I think everybody in a community is extremely important. You just have to find your passion and then go ahead and find your pathway onto how you want to become what you want to become. So over here we have some extracurriculars. Yes, from the get-go, I did volunteer as a high school student in a few hospitals here. I was a candy striper. Back in the day, we used to have to wear these uniforms that looked like a candy cane. You had red and white stripes and you used to wear them and work as nurses assistants and medical assistants. And we did everything. It was when I worked as a candy striper, I think it was in sophomore year. I really liked to see how physicians and nurses and all healthcare workers got together and helped people. And I think that really instilled a passion in me to further my desire to become a physician. It's extremely important to get out there and get some exposure. Volunteer, you don't have to get paid for it. We can do externships. A lot of medical offices always offer students to come in and volunteer. You really need to know what you're getting into. Becoming a physician is not easy, but it's not hard either, right? So you just have to stay committed, and everybody could do it. People say, oh, it's going to take 10 years, 8 years. Yeah, but that time goes away. At the end of the day, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and you'll be satisfied in what you're doing at the end of completing your medical career. Now, I stopped after residency and I did not pursue any subspecialties, but you have an array of subspecialties you can get into. And I think it's extremely important to know what you would like to do. If you like surgery, rotate with a surgeon. If you like orthopedic surgery, rotate with an orthopedic surgeon. If you like cardiology, it's important to rotate with a cardiologist. Talk to people, talk to physicians of the community. We're all willing to help guide you because you are the next generation, and you never know, maybe you guys will be taking care of us down the road, but you need to love what you do to be successful. Now let's move along. All right. Path to medicine struggles. There are a lot of struggles. Medicine and any good field, you're always going to have competition, but that can be negative, but it could always also be positive. It's not good to be in a toxic relationship with your peers when it comes to competition. Know what your limits are, and it's okay to step away from certain competitions, but you have to stay very goal-oriented. You'll always have competition, but sometimes that's good, right? Competition helps you strive to be just as good as one another. So I was very in a competitive high school, and we did very well, and we knew all our limits. And again, as long as your goal is very clear cut and you know what you want to do, you will continue to compete, but keep in mind, not at the expense of your mental health. Always know, when to say no to a lot of competition that's out there. I wound up, after doing high school, I did some undergrad at Rutgers, and then I went to a medical school in Pakistan, which was one of the top medical schools in Southeast Asia. Again, competition over there was fierce as well. But yes, we try to not only compete with our peers, but find some comfort and solace with our peers, and understand on how to go through the struggle of medical school together. Okay, try to find sources of help. Talk to colleagues, talk to seniors, talk to juniors, talk to your teachers. Always try to look for people who are willing to help. Okay, and it's extremely important to understand that in any environment, it's important that you assimilate and be okay in acclimating to different environments. I know friends of mine who went to Ross, St. George's, again, different country. I know people from other countries who are very successful physicians. Uh, Everybody's been through a similar experience, but it's important to just, again, I can't emphasize this enough, keep your goals very clear cut. You want to become a doctor? Yes, you have to work for it, but it's definitely going to be worth it. I did have some struggles. I was born and brought up here. I went back to Pakistan. It was a different people, different culture, different education, but it wasn't that hard as long as I tapped into my resources, and I did get help from peers, from teachers. We, used to have group studies. Whatever helps you work better, use it, and try to hone in on your own skills and understand what's good for you and what's not good for you. Um, I did always want to become a physician from the get-go. And maybe because I was the oldest of three, and I was always, more empathetic than normal, I guess, my other siblings who are also becoming doctors, or one's a doctor already. I like to take care of situations. I always like to take care of people. I had some pets, so it was a nurturing, I guess, attitude that I always had. But I also was always in charge of trying to control the situation. You want to be able to, again, not in the sense that you become bossy, but at least you can have clear cut goals and understand how to assume a leadership role in any capacity. In school, I was vice president of my student council. Try to, look at clubs where you can really get involved. And when I say get involved, just not write your name on it, just really volunteer and get involved, put your name out there. Try to learn how to take charge in certain clubs or, volunteer efforts. It's important to, in any successful field, you have to be able to lead certain situations. I always had my parents' encouragement. My father always said becoming a physician is a noble profession. Why? You help people and you get paid for it. Kind of makes sense, right? And you always have to have the ability to empathize. I think that's key in being a good physician. You have to understand what people are going through, at least try to understand. A lot of people go through a lot of things, and you have to be able to identify, personality issues and pains. And when a patient comes to you for any issues, it's not only the patient, they're coming to you as a representation of what they're going through in their entire life. So, it's very important to establish good communication efforts from your end. Let's go on. All right. Cultural barriers, school in Pakistan. Different expectations of knowledge. Okay, so education over there was definitely a little different. And, and again, everybody studies and, learns differently. A lot of students over there really worked in understanding through memorization. So for me, I did the opposite. I understood first and then try to, there's a lot of memorization that comes with medicine. You have to know how to memorize, you have the cranial nerves, you have certain nerves that supply certain parts of the body. You need to know that. And that does come with, a lot of memorization, repetition. But again, I was taught over here to understand the subject matter and not like memorize verbatim, but eventually that's what medical school will teach you, how to study a little differently. And transitioning assimilation was quick from, so the other thing was going to Pakistan. It's a different culture. It's a third world country. A lot of problems that we do see here do not exist there, but the problems that exist there we do not see there. I thought that was a very good educational experience that I had because I learned to see people in a different light. It was easier for me to get assimilated, yes, because I did travel to Pakistan back and forth maybe once every 2-3 years. So it was easy. But again, my goal was always to succeed and to be the best version of myself. And I think that's what we all should all really work to do. Your goals should be to actually perfect yourself and become the best version of yourself to be successful in any field. What's next? Achievements, yes. So I love writing. I was the editor of the magazine at our medical school. I did graduate with top honors in clinical medicine. Then when I did come back and I did some research with Dr. Samin Sharma, if you look him up, he's in the Forbes 500 top physicians of the United States. He's the interventional cardiologist in Mount Sinai Hospital. We did a research together where I submitted a paper for percutaneous transluminal coronary angioplasty. What does that mean? He created a roto-rooter, which is like a little, let's say, screw that kind of unclogs cardiac vessels. So that was really, really interesting. And we did a lot of research on that and showed that people survived as their clogs were removed. I did get the resident of the year. I was at St. Michael's in Newark, New Jersey, where I did my residency, and I did graduate as resident of the year in 2002. I then, while I was working, did do an MBA. An executive MBA in medicine. And the reason for me doing an MBA is, as a physician, we learn how to take care of people. We don't know how to take care of money. And I thought that was extremely important to understand the financial implications of taking care of your own business. And I think everybody should take a course in finance when you're in pre-med or even in medical school. You can do an undergrad while you're in medical school. It's extremely important to understand how to understand the business of medicine. And to be a successful doctor, you have to understand how you make money, where it goes, where it comes from, and how to successfully go ahead and continue to build a practice. I did get a proclamation from the city of Jersey City because we believe in serving the community that we take care of. So what does that mean? That means that we offer free healthcare for people who don't have insurance. We did a lot of, when I say we, me and my brother, he's also a physician here. We did a lot of charity work, but we also help people get insurances. You want to help people because, yes, you can help people with charity, but again, for further testing, it's important that you do have some sort of insurance because not all hospital systems or physicians take charity care. So we actually helped a huge portion of the community of Jersey City get insurance. I was also this year honored by the city of Jersey City as a woman of action in 2021 by the mayor's office. And again, this goes again to the community that I serve. And it was because of the community that I serve that when you talk about healthcare, when you're a physician and you're a primary care doctor, patients come to you not only for medical help, but sometimes a lot of social help too. So we formed a network where we guide patients for not only mental health, but also food pantries. Like I said, we did a lot of voter registration for these patients. We got these patients a lot of insurances. We have a network of physicians that take care of our patients, whether or not they have insurance. We like to have them have insurance, but whether or not we have a connection with pharmacies that help provide free medicine for patients that don't have insurance. And during this past pandemic, it's been very hard for a lot of people as they lost jobs, they lost livelihoods, and they had families to feed. We try to build some sort of network to provide them as provide as much information to them and provide help to them so that they can actually get on with their lives and continue being healthy. All right, so internal medicine, choosing the profession. It was my dream job. I did want to be an internist. I did stop short of any subspecialties because my goal was to become an internist, but also I wanted to raise the family and I wanted to raise my children. And I thought at that time I would build a practice and raise my family, and I'm still very happy with that decision that I did make, because um, had I gone back and been given a chance to do it again, I would do exactly the same thing. I believe in internal medicine because I love establishing relationships with people, and that's what my job is. It's a great job. I got tons of friends, right? Because people come to me, whether or not they, I have people that are like 90 years old that come to me just to talk to me because it makes them feel better. And that's like such a good feeling, right? And you get paid for that. So that was my dream job, and it is my dream job. I think experiencing and establishing relationships is key. Making connections, not only with patients, but with colleagues, with friends, with the community, with your community leaders. I got a lot of support from our mayor, Mayor Fulop, where he actually helped set up um, places where my patients could easily get the COVID vaccines when it was difficult for patients to get COVID vaccines. And the networking with the hospital was extremely important for provision of food during the pandemic. I thought that was extremely important. So it's extremely important to know who you are and establish good relationships within the community to help your patients. I believe in preventive medicine. I believe in taking care of people so they don't wind up in the hospital. Nobody likes to go to the hospital, but unfortunately, a lot of people did wind up in the hospital. Our goal is to keep them out of the hospital, to stay healthy in the community. And that's basically what I love to do. And like I said, I love what I do, and I continue to do it because of that. And I think you have to love what you do because this is your life. I really don't know what to do besides, as my daughter can say, she cleans a lot. I could be a good cleaner, but besides medicine, that's what my passion is. I focused on improving my skills, and I think it's extremely important that everybody understands when you get into this, you need to love what you do, and you listen to your patients, talk to them, look at them. It tells you a lot about them and where they're coming from. Misconceptions about being a doctor. They're always, good and bad people, right? And so it's unfortunate that physicians get a bad rap for a lot of things that happen that not necessarily are because of what physicians do. Subtle connotations may taint a physician's reputation. I always give an example. If a document is doctored versus a document is engineered, when you listen to a document being doctored, it means it was changed in a negative connotation. Whereas if it was engineered, it's a very positive outlook on how well the document was written. So unfortunately, things have aided in misconceiving what a physician does. But on the whole, physicians are your gateway to being a healthier version of yourself. The hours that we put in to help patients, we don't work 9 to 5. We work 24/7. Our phones are always on. We're always available to our patients. And I think we look forward to that. We want to be told, or we want to be notified. We don't turn off our phones because we don't want to be bothered. And I don't think people really understand how much we do for the community. And it's not because we get paid for those hours. We do it because we love taking care of our patients and making sure that they're healthy. Um, uh, Physicians are usually, people, if you talk about the general public, people don't like going to the physicians, and they only go there when they have a problem. And that's the type of thinking that we're trying to change. We're trying to have patients come in for regular visits so that their preventive needs are met, so they don't become sick, right? If you don't go somewhere, if you don't go to the physician's office, you won't find that you have a certain condition that, if not treated immediately, can be detrimental in the future. So it's important to keep an open mind about everything. Not every lawyer is bad, not every doctor is bad, and it's these misconceptions that we're trying to change, and we're trying to open up the barriers that people have put in their mind, be it because of media, Facebook, WhatsApp. Don't go to the doctors because they're going to give you diseases. It doesn't work like that. I've heard it, I've dealt with it, and I continue to deal with it. But again, we're here to open conversations, answer any questions, and that's what we like to do. That's moving along. Okay.
So just before we start with this portion of the webinar, so Dr. Syed has, practiced in some special cases, and for these special cases, we have actual pictures from one of them. And so this next one contains some content that might not be, too perfect to view for everyone. So just a warning for that. Okay.
All right, so this is an interesting case. Again, I would have never known this if this patient didn't talk to me about himself. He's a regular patient of mine. He's 50 years old. And I'm going to give you a little background about this patient. He, came in again for his preventive annual visit. And he came in, and his blood pressure usually runs a little high. He's on blood pressure medications. He's a 50-year-old man with a history of high blood pressure and high cholesterol on medications. Very compliant. Comes in with for a checkup. He did complain of non-specific abdominal pain. Okay. He said, I have some pain in my stomach, and it starts and it goes away by itself. And so upon further questioning, and he wasn't even going to mention it until I examined him, and he goes, yeah, that hurts, Dr. Syed. And I asked him, well, when did that start? He goes, well, this pain has been going on for about 6 to 8 months, but I really don't think much of it. I take some Tums, and sometimes it goes away, sometimes it doesn't. And he says, but I do have to wake up every day at 2-3 o'clock in the morning because I feel jittery at that time. So that was kind of weird, and he wasn't again going to mention it until I asked him more about this pain. And he says, well, this is about the same time when I started waking up 2-3 o'clock in the morning about 3-4 months ago. And I felt jittery. And I said, well, why do you feel jittery? He goes, well, I kind of figured something out. If I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to eat something, I feel better and I can go back to sleep. Now, that's not normal. People do not wake up jittery at 2-3 o'clock in the morning and eat something and go to sleep. And this has been happening for 3 to 4 months at about the same time he's been having this non-specific abdominal pain. I checked his sugar. Sugar was good. Blood pressure was a little high, and that was because he ran out of his medicine, and I didn't give him his, and he was actually late for his refills. So I gave him his refills, and I ordered an ultrasound of his abdomen. And again, by the way, he did not come in with this complaint. The ultrasound showed a mass in the lower abdomen. So the radiologist recommended that I do a CAT scan. I got a CAT scan done, and the CAT scan showed a 20 centimeter by 10 centimeter mass in his abdomen. I did some blood tests. So usually when a person complains of low blood sugar, which is called hypoglycemia, um, you order some tests to see if their insulin levels are okay, and you check if their sugars are okay. So I ordered some tests, and we found out that he had a specific type of uh, uh, hormone that was in his blood, right? So it was a very interesting case. This is called an non um, insulin non-islet cell tumor. Okay, that was the tumor's name, a non-islet ISLET cell tumor. And that was producing a hormone that was like insulin. So his normal insulin levels were fine, but this was also producing some extra insulin-like protein that the body kind of processed as insulin that made his sugars fall down. I got an oncologist and a surgeon on board, and we actually wound up sending him to the hospital within 2 days, had a resection, and this 8-pound tumor was actually taken out from him. He's being monitored by, the oncologist just to make sure everything's fine. He's been cancer free and his insulin levels are fine. His sugar levels have gone back down normal. But again, this is what I meant by saying have a relationship with your patient so that you can actually ask them, look at them, and actually decipher whether or not something else is really going on. So I thought this was an extremely important case for you guys. And as you can see, it was 8 pounds of tumor that was causing this pain. It wasn't any heartburn. It wasn't any extra acid. He was taking Tums. He thought it made him feel better, but it really didn't. So this was an insulin-like growth factor being produced by this non-islet cell tumor, okay? And the tumor was actually in his lower abdomen, attached to his intestines. It was not related to any part of the body. And it was probably growing there for about 2-3 years. So the treatment for these are usually one, make sure the sugar doesn't go down if it's a non-resectable tumor. Number two, make sure that the tumor, if it can be resected, is taken out. And number three, clinically follow the patient for at least a year, 2 years to make sure that their sugar stays stable, because sometimes these tumors do come back. All right, but he's wonderful. He's happy. He's 8 pounds lighter and everything is well.
All right, this is the second special case. There isn't any blood or gore on this next one, so.
Right. There's no special case, but the next case is very interesting as well. All right, so this gentleman had no insurance. He comes to me because of his aunt, who was a patient of mine. And he came to me, and after going to several doctors with a complaint of abdominal pain and not feeling well, wound up, unfortunately, with wrong treatment. They kept on giving him something for heartburn. You know, he was taking Pepcid for a long time or Nexium for a long time, and that was really helping him at all. He came to me complaining of Dr. Syed, my aunt comes to you. I want to see you because I haven't been feeling well for the past 1 year. Now, he's Peruvian and he looked extremely pale. He was looking whiter than white, okay? So my concern at that time was, one, he doesn't have insurance, so I have to be very careful as to what test I should order because we can't charge him. He was a student, he wasn't earning any money. Again, based because of the connections I had in the hospitals I worked with, I spoke to a few people and I decided to have him transferred to the hospital. But before I did a thorough physical examination. His blood pressure was very, very low. In fact, when he used to lie down, his pressure was another number. And when he used to sit up, his pressure used to drop by almost 10 to 20 millimeters of mercury. When that drop happens, it's called orthostatic hypotension, right? Orthostatic because as the patient's position changes, his blood pressure drops. His heart rate was consistently elevated at 120. Normal heart rates are between 70 to 100. His heart rate was 120. That's pretty high. Like I said, I called the hospital at that time. I called St. Michael's and I spoke to the ER doctor there. I asked social services to actually be ready when they get there so that they can actually work on establishing some sort of charity care for him. And then I also spoke to the cardiologist because his heart rate was so high that he had a huge murmur. A heart murmur is, when your heart valves either don't close properly or your blood flow through the heart is so fast that it makes a sound that causes a murmur. So his heart sounds and his murmurs were very loud. When he went to the ER, they did some blood tests. We found out his hemoglobin was 4.8. That is very, very low. Normal blood hemoglobin is between 11 to 15. In males, it's usually 13 to 15. So he was significantly anemic. Now, he did not complain of any source of blood loss. He did not have any blood loss in the stool. He did not have any blood loss in the urine. He did not vomit blood. He did not lose any blood. So that was kind of significant. So they did a colonoscopy the next day. In the colonoscopy, they found that this young male had stage 3 colon cancer. At 31 years of age, he had colon cancer and it was stage 3. That's pretty significant, right? So it was caught early enough that it did not go into it did not travel far and it did not go into the local lymph nodes, but it was spread enough that it was about to just come out of his intestine and go to the local areas. And again, if he did not disclose a few things that I'm going to go into, we would not have gotten to his diagnosis. He did tell me that his mother has uterine cancer and ovarian cancer, okay? And his father had prostate cancer. Mother, father are totally unrelated, okay? So, and this gentleman now has colon cancer. He, by the grace of God, he got a colon resection. He got chemotherapy. It was reattached, which is called reanastomosed, right? The colon was reattached and he has been functioning ever since fine. He's been cancer-free for almost 7 years now, okay? During that time, he had 12 units of blood transfused. And the reason why his hemoglobin was so low and he did not detect any blood loss was because the blood was in his stool, but it was so constant and so small that he could not visualize it. It was positive microscopically. So I thought that was interesting. Like I said, his mother had 2 cancers. Father had one cancer. It was he has prostate cancer. Mother had ovarian and uterine cancer. So when a condition like this exists, when you have one generation followed by another generation of multiple cancers, there's a syndrome called Lynch syndrome, okay? By definition, it's a genetic condition that increases the risk of colorectal, endometrial, and other cancers. This is a genetic predisposition. Patients with Lynch syndrome have a 10 to 61% chance of developing colon cancer in their lifetime. This is higher than the average risk that people have. And interestingly enough, Lynch syndrome usually affects people earlier than the age of 50. So he's actually, he was 31 at the time. Women with Lynch syndrome have a 13 to 15% developing endometrial cancer, and that actually happened to his mother. She had endometrial cancer. So the diagnosis is extremely important to be made, and I'll tell you why. You can go ahead and then stratify these people and understand their need for screening for cancers. So people who have a predisposition, a family predisposition to have cancer, should be screened earlier than normal, than the normal population, and because of him. Now, his aunt was screened and she was found to have breast cancer. They all screened and found out. And again, that goes back to being very aggressive in preventive medicine. I really believe that prevention is key. Early detection is key. Now, if we did not, again, he came a little bit later in the game, but had he been a regular patient going to the doctor regularly, his blood would not have gotten that low, his hemoglobin, and he would have been treated at the right time. Unfortunately, he did not have insurance and he did not go to the regular doctor regularly. And that's one thing I want everybody to be aware of. Some people will come across who don't have insurance. As a physician, you are not loyal to their insurance. You are loyal to the patient. And it's important to keep that always in the back of your mind. Your job is to make sure that the person who's coming to you for help is seen appropriately. And if you cannot see him, you actually direct them in the right direction to where they can go. Some people, because of their employment contracts, cannot see some patients, but at least everybody knows where to send certain patients to certain clinics or certain physicians that do take care of people. Now, thank God this gentleman, like I said, he's cancer free. It's almost 6 to 7 years. He's living a normal life. He's continued to become, he's done a master's in public health, is now doing a doctorate in helping people. And I think that's another thing. Now, significantly enough, he also wound up having another anomaly, which is called a bicuspid aortic valve. Normal aortic valves, if you can see in the picture on the right, show that normally you have 3 valves. This gentleman here only had 2 valves. This is unrelated to his cancer, but it was because he kept on coming to see me. Nobody looked at his heart because we didn't know that there was anything wrong with his heart. We all focused on his colon. But again, one day he came and he said he's getting short of breath. He did have a murmur again. This time the murmur was because of his aortic heart. And he wound up, we discovered later in the game that he had a 2-valve aortic valve. And because of that, he was going into congestive heart failure, again, at the age of 36. That's a very young age to be in heart failure. He wound up going to Columbia, had a surgical repair of his aortic valve, and is now doing well. So again, very, very interesting cases. If you listen to your patients, if you talk to your patients, if you look at your patients, develop a relationship with your patients, you learn a lot from them. And this Lynch syndrome, I want everybody to actually read up on Lynch syndrome. It's very interesting. You might know somebody who has it. You might come across somebody, or you might wind up diagnosing somebody who has it, or prevent, God forbid, this person from dying, in the near future. So you always have to keep your eyes, ears, heart, and your mind always open. All right. Advice as an internist, huh? Do what makes you happy. You have to do what you love to do. You love to take care of people. You love to take care of children. You love to take care of plants. You love to take care of animals. Whatever you do it, don't do it for the money. Money is extremely important. Yes, it pays for stuff, but don't make it the reason for what you're going to do. Okay. My advice for students is make yourself certain of your goals. Know what you want to do. And if you're going to do it well. Don't let anyone let you down. Look for sources of encouragement. Definitely volunteer, shadow, talk to doctors of the community. We can probably, these guys are doing a great job. They can probably, link people up to shadow if possible. It's definitely hard work, but everything is to be successful, but it's not unattainable. Engagement is extremely important. Engage yourself in your community. Go to your local soup kitchens, go to your local churches, mosques, synagogues, your temples. See where you can volunteer, see where the need in the community is so you can get your name out there. Look at your own schools. They sometimes have social outreach programs. I think it's extremely important to see how you feel when you help people. Take CPR classes. I always encourage everybody to be CPR certified. As students, certain your colleges, your sometimes high schools will allow for CPR certifications, but keep your goals consistent. Don't lose yourself. Don't be detract. Don't fall for the next best thing, but keep your mind open. You can get into medical school and you can change your mind and want to become an artificial intelligence engineer. I had one student do that. Interestingly enough, he's loving it. He's doing great. He's becoming a tech giant. Good for him. But again, follow your passion and know what you want to do. I had one person in pharmacy school switch over to become a physician. Great idea. They love it. They're happy. They're being successful. Just follow your dream. I had a colleague of mine who graduated, and he's now orthopedic surgeon. But interestingly enough, he was a policeman, and he was a state trooper for almost 4 years, and decided to go back to medical school, which was amazing. Went to medical school, graduated, did his residency, went into orthopedic surgery, and he's doing great. And again, find your passion. There's no right way to get there. It's your own way, but just stay focused. Let's see, and the profession. Okay, so you have to understand it's not always wonderful. You will always come across colleagues that are difficult to deal with. You will always come across administrations that are difficult to deal with. You will always come across patients that are difficult to deal with. You have to be understanding. You have to keep an open mind and keep your cool always. I just always say to a lot of people that work with me, work for me, I always say, don't take things personally. Patients come to you when they're in need of help. They are sometimes in pain, they're in mental distress. Don't take them personally, their rudeness personally. Don't take their accusations personally. You are providing a service to them and they're coming to you for help. You just have to understand that they're doing their thing, but you need to do your thing, and never get personally involved in like, don't let your emotions get the best of you. That's what I'm saying. Just try to be very focused and stay professional in whatever capacity, as a policeman, as a teacher, as a gardener. Just always keep yourself professional in anything you do, and you'll be successful. I will be open to any questions that people have. And it's an honor for me to be here. And again, excuse me, 1 second. Let me.
All right, so in the meantime, I allowed everyone to turn on their cameras, turn on their mics. So if you'd like to speak directly to Dr. Syed or to me or Marissa, feel free with any questions. But yeah. And if there's not any questions, I'll move on to something else, but I'll give it a minute or two for questions. Oh, you can also put it in the chat if you're not comfortable with unmuting, feel free.
So how often will like these meetings be, and where can I get like the link for it? Because how I got it today, Marissa sent it to like a group chat we were in. So like, is there like a site or like a place I can see all of it?
Yeah, for sure. So if you actually search up shadowbunny.org and subscribe to our newsletter, you just gotta scroll down a little bit and you'd subscribe to our newsletter. We send reminders there for all of our events. This has actually been our first event. so if you would like to subscribe to our newsletter, you can find information about events or other stuff Shadow Bunny's doing. You can also follow us on our Instagram that Marissa can put in the chat right now, if you will, please. And so, yeah, that's how we send out the link. The link has also been in our link tree. And they'll be happening as we get doctors. You can expect at least once a month. And as we get bigger, hopefully more than that. But yeah, and let me just copy this.
Future, we have a few webinars planned with like surgeons and just different doctors. It'll happen more frequently as we reach out to more people, but yeah, and if you go on our website, just sign up for the newsletter, and that's where we send the reminders.
And any suggestions, stuff like that, you can put it in the quiz Google form. We open that up. Suggestions for doctors we can contact and their points of contact. That's also greatly appreciated. But Philip asked in the chat, Dr. Syed, are you MD or DO?
I'm an MD right now, but the Doctors of Osteopathic Medicine, that's another pathway to become a doctor. It's a great pathway. Both of them are equivocal. We get paid the same. We work the same. It's just another title. But yes, I am an MD right now.
All right. And Miranda, I hope I pronounced that right, asked, what's your best recommendation for high school students wanting to go into pre-med, like community service, after school activities, classes, etc.?
Okay, so my suggestion to you is go to your local hospital and see if they have any externships open to you. Definitely social outreach programs, volunteers. Like I said, try to get CPR certified. The community centers, your mayor's office, they offer CPR classes. I think you guys should sign up for that. And again, talk to your local physician, talk to your primary care doctor, your pediatrician, whoever you go to, and see if you can shadow them. I think it's extremely important for you guys to have exposure to and also volunteer at their offices. You want to show something that you're doing in the community so that when you do go to college, you have that behind you so that, furthering talking to counselors at colleges. They will also direct you to certain medical clinics that do offer internships for students. But right now at your age, for high school students, I would definitely get involved in community work, outreach programs. Go to your, like I said, the city of Jersey City, the mayor's office has a lot of outreach programs for our students. But whatever city you're in, try to look at their website, but also the best place would be just to go to your primary care doctor and see what they can offer you.
So we had another question for Dr. Syed, but the question after that I can answer pretty easily. So we're gonna go back to that. So Kim asked, what are the shadowing hours and if you can put it on a resume? So yes, for this you'll get at least 3 shadowing hours, 2 for the webinar and 1 for the quiz that you take. And if you get above a 60%, we advertise above a 70%, but since some people joined late today, we moved it to 60. If you get a 60 or higher on this quiz, we'll hand you a certificate. We'll email it to you. And sure, you can put it on a resume. And yeah, how we work, that's on our website. That's the first post on our Instagram if you want to scroll down a little. So yeah, and website again, shadowbunny.org. Subscribe to our newsletter for more info on events. And going back to the questions, Miranda again asked, how do you know this was 100% the profession you wanted to go into?
That's a really good question. And like I said from the get-go, when you're a kid, you kind of know what you want to do, but things change. Well, I wanted to either become a movie star, which that obviously didn't work out, or I wanted to, help people. I just, when I volunteered at Christ Hospital here in Jersey City, and I saw how how powerful these physicians looked in helping these people, these sick, frail little old people. It really inspired me, just to see how thankful these patients were on discharge when they were going home. And I think that was the point where I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to be that one person that people come to and say, you know what, please help me. I want to be some sort of gateway to guide them. For my own self, I thought medicine is probably the best thing for me because I was really good in my sciences and I love science. I loved anatomy and physiology and biology and physics. And yes, I'm a dork. I love chemistry too. But, I think, the passion for your sciences you like, and plus knowing that you like to help people, I think that kind of snowballed into me having that desire to just become a physician. And I, again, wanted to be an internist. I wanted to be that gateway to help guide people. I really, I feel that I do well by connecting to patients, and talking to them and kind of guiding them. And I like academics. I love teaching. I've taught residents in that go to residency programs and medical students at Jersey City Medical Center. And I guess just helping be a bridge between patient care and education and loving science. I think that's what really snowballed my desire into becoming a physician.
All right. And yeah, so this entire thing has been recorded and we're going to put it on our YouTube soon. And for updates on when that's going to be there, updates on certificates, again, check our website, subscribe to our newsletter, and follow our Instagram that I actually put in the chat. And Marissa, if you want to say something, please go ahead.
Yeah, just going back on that one question, whether if you can put this on your resumes. Yeah, you can definitely put it on your resumes, college apps. It's verified shadowing hours. Dr. Syed will sign it, and everyone who passes or gets a 60 or above on the quiz will receive a certificate. So yes, you can use that for basically anything you want it to be on. That's basically all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for joining us.
And so for points of contact for Dr. Syed, that's also on our website. Pretty much all the information that's pertaining to our organization is either on our Instagram or our website. So yeah, and we are also currently taking applications for our project manager's position. So yeah, feel free. So Dr. Syed, Marissa, if you want to say something, go ahead.
Yes. So right now I want to first say thank you, both you, Zen and Marissa, for having me. I'm honored to be here. I'm going to leave my email over here. But first of all, I wish all of you lots and lots of success. We're all here for you. Becoming a physician, it's not that hard, but it definitely requires dedication, passion, love, and it's okay not to get it the right way, or it's okay to not do well on one test. Don't write off your career, but we need more people in the healthcare industry, in whatever capacity. It's trying. It's not easy. It's a lifelong commitment, but it's definitely worth it. So I wish you all the luck. I'll leave my email if you guys have any questions that you didn't really feel comfortable asking. Just email me, and in whatever capacity I could help, guide, or maybe direct, I'd be honored to. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye.
Tell your friends if you want to.
much.
Me or the kids?
Everyone.
Okay.
Everyone.
All right. Okay, bye.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye.